What's the easiest way to scale your company? I'll tell you in just 1 second, but first, this episode is brought to you by Waymo. I don't know if you guys know about Waymo, but they are leading the game. They have self-driving Jaguar SUVs that take people around. It's freaking badass. And if they're not in your city yet, then you should go talk to the city council, get them approved, and contact Waymo and say, we want your company in our city. Then you'll have safe driving Jaguar SUVs be able to pick you up, which would be pretty badass. Okay, and then this episode is also brought to you by Spotify. I don't know if you guys knew this, but they are leading the game in music streaming and podcast streaming. And one thing that they also offer is Spotify premium plans for business owners, in which they can purchase Spotify premium for all their employees, And it's the little things like that that, lock in talent for the long term, knowing that they're appreciated, So business owners definitely look into buying the Spotify premium plans for your employees. I know that they would greatly appreciate it, So, all right. What is the best way to scale your company? Okay, so I wrote this blog post this morning. It took me a little longer than I thought. But I've still got like 5 hours to hit the phones when I get done with this video, so that's promising, okay? But the article was titled, The Art of Branding, SEM, Mastering the Game, okay? And one thing when you're creating content, like titles are like a really big deal, I just like updated like every one of my YouTube titles. It was a fucking pain in the ass. But part of the game, right? Because like one thing is like, I also like update like my websites often, and if you don't continually update your old shit, it gets dated very fast, like with all the, it's weird how it works like that, but it does, So anyways, The Art of Branding, SEM, Mastering the Game. It's adamprudhomme.com. If you guys haven't checked out my blog yet, definitely check it out. It's freaking badass, and there's tons of ways on, like, tons of solutions on there. Like, you read my blog articles that, like, you can make money, like real money, extremely easy, all right? So what is the most efficient way to increase brand awareness? And first, I guess we'll start is, some people, they want to build a brand, but they're not happy with their current reputation online, because that's what your brand is. It's your online reputation, all right? And like I said, most people are too far deep to just start from scratch, So they've got to work with what they've got. And it can be done 100%, but you've got to be willing to put in the work to make it happen. It's not just going to happen. The only way to build a brand is to fucking get out and execute. You got to do shit. You got to make it happen. It's just not going to fucking happen on its own, So you got to work with what you got, first of all right? And then the first thing you have to do is 100%, if you're not across every social media platform, then I don't know what the fuck you're doing. Because if you're, like, especially if you're building a company brand, like that is so freaking important, because that allows you to have a backlink to reputable platforms, and that's only gonna boost your freaking Google ranking, So like that, even if you do it for that reason alone, like it needs to be done. You also need to create a YouTube channel, I don't care what you do with it, but you need to have a freaking YouTube channel, because it's such a powerful platform today. I'm not a huge fan of YouTube, but it's something like if you're a business, like if you have a company, like you should have a YouTube channel. It's like you can put tons of backlinks on it at the very least. So yeah, and you don't have to be the guy on the video either. You can do faceless YouTube channels and other shit like that. But if you have a business, you need to have a YouTube channel, and not just that. Okay, so for building brand awareness, it's not just going to happen. Like I said, you've got to create content, you've got to put out shit, and you've got to get recognized. It's a game of attention, and you got to get recognized. And one thing what will prevent you from ever getting recognized is just doing what the guy next to you is doing. If you're not doing original shit, building your own personal brand, then you're never going to build a fucking brand. Everyone's just going to look at you like you're a fucking douchebag, fucking posing off this dude over here, stealing this guy's tweets. You're a fucking nobody, you're a loser, and you'll always be a fucking loser, Come up with your own fucking shit. And if you do quote someone else's shit, then fucking quote them or tag them, like if you send an X post and it's someone else's work, then you should put their name on it, Like just try to steal people's shit, like that's just like, it's unethical, So, okay, so that, now I guess we'll talk about SEO. One thing I mentioned in the article is, okay, so https.southeastmarketing.net as opposed to just southeastmarketing.net, you have to realize that those two links will direct you to the same web page. However, according to Google's algorithm, those two links are two different websites, all right? So when you post your backlinks to like your social media accounts, you need to pay attention to detail and make sure they all are exactly the same link, and that link matches up to your Google ranking link, okay? Because it's little details like that that make such a huge difference, all right? And then I guess while we're talking SEO, other than that, we'll talk reviews. You know, reviews are important, but reviews are more, in my opinion, I think they're more important for locking in clients, you know, so they can see that you have reviews as opposed to boosting your Google like search engine ranking, all right? Because what matters way more than Google rankings is your retention rate, you know? So you gotta make sure your fucking landing page is beautiful, all right? And because like, however, like, because like if someone gets on your website and they're like, people are like immediately just like clicking back to get off your website is dead and your Google ranking's dead. And so like, that's so freaking important, all right, is your landing page has to be beautiful and it has to suck people in, all right? Because if they're clicking back, you're never gonna do good, you know? And also talk about if you wanna, and Google's like a company too, you know? So it's like their job to hook up their users with the best business, like what they're looking for, you know? So they're not trying to work with shady people. They're trying to hook up their users with like the best people, you know? So if you want to be the number one, if you want to be the best ranked, you need to become the fucking best company, you know? It's simple as that, all right? And then, okay, so that was a little bit about SEO. Now we'll get into copyright SEO, I guess. What else are we going to talk about? Okay, yeah, well, I guess we'll talk about copyright SEO, all right? And I know a lot of people hear copyright and they think like the old days, like the 50s, like 40s, 50s with like, oh, I got that, you know, I wrote an article, it was like Napoleon Hill talking to freaking Andrew Carnegie, like, sir, did you get your business plan copyrighted? And like back in the day, like copywriting was basically put in place to protect content creators, you know? So basically it gave them ownership over the work that they do, you know? So like if freaking Andrew Carnegie creates a business plan and someone gets their hands on it and executes it, he has a leg to stand on in the courtroom, like this was stolen property and he'd be entitled to money, you know? However, the internet today, as you all know, is a decentralized network, and the World Wide Web, it's a communication platform between electronic devices, all right? And there's no government over the World Wide Web, you know? So like any, you know, shady shit that happens country to country, there's no one like going out of their way to like, you know, go after the people that are doing the criminal activity, you know? So like, if you have like copyright infringement or freaking someone steals your shit or like piracy or like whatever, you know, like people aren't held accountable, you know, unless you're in, like say two people are in the United States and someone's hacking someone and it's illegal in that state, then they should be prosecuted and they should be held accountable to be prosecuted by the United States government because it's a law within their ground, you know, within their borders, you know? So I don't know what's going on with that. So anyways, what SEO copyright is, you know, it's a similar concept, but basically you have to make top quality content, make it sexy, presentable, you know, include pictures, maybe pick out a nice font, add colors, and execute with keywords, long tail keywords, all right? And when you do this, it gets noticed by like Google and these centralized networks, and they lock it in as like a top ranking site or web page, you know, on their platform, and that makes it protected by centralized networks, all right? Okay, so then I guess I will end with a little bit of SGE, and that is search generative experience, all right? It's basically implementing AI into search engines, you know, and basically just a quick overview. It's basically like, I talk more in detail about it in my article, but basically it is, you know, you Google something or whatever, and it gives you way more detailed results with like links to reference sites where it got the answer from, you know? So it's like it's breakthrough, you know, they got some badass new LLMs that they're working with. So Pretty excited about that. Anyways, got to go hit the phones. I love you guys. And remember that you can be what you will to be.